Brave is the only major browser that blocks Google ads by default. Not only that, it also pays you to watch advertising. Sounds weird, right? But that's just the beginning. This browser was created by the same guy who invented JavaScript. It wasn't created by some random team of idealistic developers, but by someone who knows the business from the inside. And from day one, Google has done everything possible to bury it. From false warnings in their own store to indirect lawsuits. The reason? Brave touches something sacred to Google, their $200 billion per year advertising model. But as you know, Brave isn't exactly a saint either. It's had some pretty ugly scandals, legal battles, and questionable decisions that almost destroyed it. That's why today we're going to see how this browser went from being a revolutionary idea to becoming Google's public enemy #1. All while trying, or while attempting to change the way the internet works. The story of Brave doesn't start with good intentions or a group of hackers in a garage. It starts with a cancellation and a very angry man. It's 2014. Brendan Eich, the creator of JavaScript, had just been forced to resign as CEO of Mozilla. The reason? In 2008, he had donated $1,000 to California's Proposition 8, a law against same-sex marriage. The news exploded. There were protests, public pressure, and basically they kicked him out. Now, I'm not going to get into whether it was right or wrong, but what I can tell you is that Eich left Mozilla with a mission. And that mission wasn't simply to make another browser, but to destroy the business model that supports half the internet. I'm talking about advertising tracking. Look, in 2015, when Brave was officially founded, the landscape was clear. Google dominated everything. Chrome had more than 60% of the browser market, Google Ads controlled 90% of digital advertising, and every time you open a web page, dozens of trackers followed every click you made to build a profile of you and sell you things. Eich's proposal was radical, and I'll summarize it like this. Block all that crap. No third-party cookies, no trackers, no invasive ads. And here's where it gets interesting, because Brave didn't just want to block ads, but to replace them with its own system. Let me explain how the idea works. Traditional websites show you ads from Google, Facebook, or whoever. These ads track you, collect your data, and chase you all over the web. Brave says, okay, we're going to block all that, but if you want, you can activate our own ads that respect your privacy and pay you to watch them. And be careful, they don't pay you in dollars, they pay you in BAT, Basic Attention Token, a cryptocurrency that Brave created specifically for this. The idea was that you could save these tokens or donate them to the creators you like. Sounds nice, right? A utopia where users control their privacy and creators receive money directly without intermediaries. But like everything that sounds too good to be true, there was a giant problem. Brave was monetizing other people's content without asking permission. Think about it. You're a media outlet like the New York Times or The Guardian. You live off advertising on your site, and Brave comes along, block all your ads, shows their own instead, and also tells the user they can donate BAT to you if they want. Basically, Brave got in the middle of the business model of the entire internet and said, now I make the rules. And of course, this wasn't going to end well. From the start, Brave was built on Chromium, the same code base as Chrome. This is important because it means it's technically compatible with almost everything that works in Chrome. Extensions, websites, everything. But one key difference. All of Google's tracking system was disabled. In 2016, they launched the first public version. It was fast, consumed fewer resources than Chrome, and promised 3 times faster load speeds because it eliminated all the advertising garbage. Early adopters loved it. People concerned about their privacy, libertarians, crypto bros, everyone jumped on the train. But here's the interesting part. Brave wasn't just a browser. Eich had a much bigger vision. He wanted to create a complete ecosystem where privacy was the foundation, integrating a browser, a search engine, and a crypto wallet in one place. And to finance all this, in 2017, they did an ICO. If you've never heard of that term, basically it's selling your cryptocurrency directly to the public before it hits exchange, like a massive pre-sale. Brave sold BAT to the public and raised $35 million in less than 30 seconds. Yes, you read that right. 30 seconds. It was one of the fastest ICOs in history. With that money, they could hire engineers, improve the product, and start scaling. But they also painted a giant target on their backs, because now they weren't just challenging Google, they also had crypto money. regulators watching them, and extremely high expectations. If you thought Brave was going to have a smooth plan, you were wrong. From the moment it started growing, battles started coming from all sides. The first major controversy was with media outlets. In 2016, a group of 17 publishers, including the New York Times and the Washington Post, made an open letter demanding that Brave stop using their content. The argument was simple: you're stealing our advertising revenue. And look, they were partly right. Brave literally blocked the ads that sustained those sites and then showed its own ads. Brave responded that they were offering a better alternative, that users could donate back directly to creators. The problem is that the donation system never took off. Most users didn't donate anything, and those who did donated ridiculous amounts, pennies. The media kept losing money and Brave kept growing. But the biggest battle, without a doubt, was with Google. And this is where things get murky. In 2018, Brave appeared in the Google Play Store. Everything normal at first, but as it gained users, weird things started happening. Security warnings for no apparent reason, fake negative reviews, problems with updates. Basically, Google tried to make life impossible for it. Although it actually makes sense, right? Imagine your Google, Chrome is your flagship product, it controls 65% of the market, and a browser comes along that basically says everything Google does with your data is wrong and we're going to block it. Obviously, you're not going to like it. Brave also had problems with the advertising model itself. It turns out that showing ads that respect privacy and also pay well is extremely complicated. Advertisers wanted data, metrics, and segmentation, but Brave said, no, we don't do that here. So advertisers left or paid very little. That meant users earned almost nothing in BAT. We're talking about literally pennies a month. And just when people started complaining that the reward system wasn't working, something much worse appeared. A scandal that would prove that Brave wasn't just failing to pay users, but was collecting money in a very shady way. In December 2018, a British YouTuber named Tom Scott, quite well known in the tech world, made a disturbing discovery. Brave was keeping the money that his viewers were donating to him. Brave was using his photo, his channel name, all his information without permission. Basically, they were collecting money in his name. Tom contacted Brave asking what was happening with that money. The answer was even worse. Unclaimed donations were kept by Brave. The company was literally using creators' images to generate engagement and then pocketing that money that users thought was going to the creators. Tom Scott tweeted everything publicly. Brave tried to defend itself, saying it was to incentivize the platform. But the message was clear. The browser that sold itself as ethical and transparent was doing something very shady with people's money. And that was just the beginning, because Brave didn't learn the lesson. In 2020, a user discovered that when you typed cryptocurrency site addresses in the address bar, Brave automatically added affiliate referral codes. That is, if you put Binance.com, Brave changed it to Binance.com/referralbrave without telling you. That meant Brave was taking commissions every time someone used those sites, without telling you. In a browser that sold itself as the defender of privacy and transparency, the scandal was massive. They said it was a mistake, that it was never their intention to hide it, that they had already removed it, but the damage was done. Many people lost trust. And with good reason, because if you sell yourself as the honest browser and do something like that, what else are you hiding? Then that same year, Brave had an autocomplete feature that sometimes redirected searches through Brave's affiliate links. Again, hidden commissions. And again, they had to give public apologies. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, came February 2021, the most serious scandal of all. Brave had a feature called Private Window with Tor. What it promised was simple: completely anonymous browsing using the Tor network. For journalists, activists, people in countries with censorship, etc., your life could literally depend on that anonymity. But security researchers discovered something pretty dark. Brave's Tor mode was leaking .onion addresses directly to your DNS provider. That is exactly the information it was supposed to protect. Anyone monitoring your connection could see what .onion sites you visited. Anonymity was completely destroyed. And the worst part, this bug had existed in stable versions since November 2020, 4 months. In nightly versions, it had been present for 113 days. How many people trusted that protection, thinking they were safe? How many journalists, activists, dissidents? Brave fixed it later in version 1.20.108, but it was too late. Think about it. The only reason someone uses Brave is for security and privacy, and right there, in their most critical feature, they had failed for months. Every time something like this happened, Chrome and Google defenders came out saying, "See, we told you Brave was a scam, better stick with Chrome." And although Chrome literally tracks you 24/7, the narrative stuck because Brave had shot itself in the foot. But despite all this, Brave kept growing. Why? Because the browser itself works really well. It's fast, consumes less RAM than Chrome, blocks ads natively, and people who just wanted privacy without getting into the bad issue were happy. Plus, Brave started expanding. In 2021, they launched Brave Search, their own search engine, and it didn't depend on Google or Bing. It was an independent index built from scratch. And although it's not perfect, it's a real alternative. They also integrated a crypto wallet, native Tor support, a firewall, VPN, and even an AI assistant called Leo. Basically, they were becoming a complete ecosystem. But Google remained the enemy, and not just Google, also Apple. On iOS, all browsers have to use WebKit, Safari's engine. That means Brave on iPhone is basically Safari with Brave's interface. It can't block ads the same way. It's a technical limitation imposed by Apple to protect their own advertising business. But wait, because in 2024, something happened that nobody, absolutely nobody saw coming. After all the scandals, the hidden codes, the Tor leaks, the stolen donations, after half the tech internet said that Brave was a scam, that it was better to stick with Chrome, in May 2024, Brave had the highest growth month in its entire history. A single month, 7.3% increase, more new users than in all of 2019 combined. And that's not all. By September 2025, Brave crossed 100 million monthly active users. 100 million. It's not Chrome, and it's not an irrelevant experiment either. It's the only independent browser that's growing while others like Firefox fade into oblivion. Here comes the biggest irony of all. Google started copying Brave. Yes, you read that right. In 2024, Chrome began implementing its Privacy Sandbox. And what is Privacy Sandbox? Basically, Google admitting that traditional tracking is wrong and they need an alternative. An alternative that looks suspiciously like what Brave has been saying since 2016. Of course, Google's version is still less aggressive, but the fact that Google is being forced to move in that direction means one thing. Brave won the ideological debate, and it's not just a rhetoric. In 2020, Trinity College Dublin did an independent study comparing Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and Brave. The result? Brave was the only browser that transmitted 0 identifiers that could track you. 0. For example, Chrome sent your hardware ID, Firefox shared URLs, and Safari sent your timestamp. Brave, nothing. Another test, the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, has a tool called Cover Your Tracks that measures how unique your browser is, how easily it is to track you through fingerprinting, which is when websites identify your device without using cookies. Of all the browsers on the market, Brave is the only one completely effective against fingerprinting. Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Edge all failed. Brave doesn't. In speed, Brave scores 1,072 points in base Mark III versus Chrome's 920. On sites with lots of ads, Brave uses between 33% and 66% less RAM. Pages load between 3 to 6 times faster because all the advertising garbage isn't even downloaded. So technically, objectively, Brave works. It's faster, more private, and uses fewer resources than Chrome. And if you're one of those who think Google isn't that bad, that tracking is necessary for the internet to be free, well, then stick with Chrome. But at least now you know why Google prefers you don't find out that Brave exists. Because in the end, Brave isn't perfect. It's made mistakes, but it's still the most serious alternative to Google's absolute dominance in the browser world. And that in itself is already something valuable. And since we're talking about applications that nobody uses because of advertising and tracking, I recommend you to watch this video where I tell you more about apps that were destroyed by ads. If you like this video, subscribe for more stories like this, and if you want to be part of the community, join the Discord. The link is in the description. See you in the next one.